Hey witches. I always thought that as I got older, I'd have more things figured out and feel more self-assured that I was on the right path. But that's just not how things have worked out for me. If anything, I was so much more fearless and open when I was younger, and maybe that was just from being dumb, inexperienced, and delusional, but it was a lot more fun. I feel like I've been living this small, fearful life lately. Can you relate to that? It is the worst. I am so sick of feeling this way. So I created this star card spell bottle as one step in shifting myself back into the light. I know some of you are totally here for this, saying, yes, bring on the spell. But some of you may be saying, hey, Dahlia, this sounds like serious depression. And maybe instead of throwing some woo-woo junk in a bottle, you should, I don't know, see a doctor. Thank you. I do completely hear that. And I'm really fortunate. I've been working with what seems like a small army of doctors on all the health things, and it has been helping. I hope that any of you watching who are struggling with health issues have the courage to seek help. So no, I don't think that I can dump some stuff in a bottle and get out of putting in serious work on myself, and you shouldn't think that either. But 2 points about what I just said. 1, just as I have a team of doctors with different specialties and perspectives working with me, I think we can and should call in different tools to help us in any healing journey. Spellcraft is a powerful tool that addresses parts of our humanity and our soul that can be neglected by an entirely Western medicine approach. And 2, I am not just blindly dumping random witchy bits into a bottle and expecting anything to happen. I put so much thought and time researching and collecting every item in this spell. They all mean something to me in the way that I see them supporting my intention. That focus is where I expect the magic to happen, because it's signaling to my brain that the outcome of the spell is really important to me. It's a way of directing my energy and problem-solving abilities towards that outcome. The process of assembling this bottle felt sacred and powerful. And now when I interact with the completed object, it reminds me of the goals and the mindset that I'm working towards. I even see making this video as a part of the spell because it's a way I can feed it with even more energy. But I also made this video because I know a lot of other people are struggling right now, and I hope that it helps in even the smallest way. Sometimes in life, things get really heavy and hard, and it can feel like that's all they're ever going to be. But as long as we're still alive, we do have the power to make changes. You can do this spell even if you don't read tarot. And if this video resonates with you, I hope that you'll take inspiration from it and make it your own. So what was my thought process here? Why am I working with the star card as opposed to any of the other 77 tarot cards in the deck? Why incorporate a tarot card into the spell at all? First of all, tarot cards are so powerful in the way that they can help us access inner wisdom and connect with universal archetypes and journeys. In spells, tarot cards can be used to reinforce or magnify your intention, both with their visuals and with their storytelling. Let's dive into the star card so I can illustrate what I mean about the power of storytelling. Look at the woman on the star card. This woman is radiant and serene. When was the last time you felt radiant and serene? Yes, please, to more of that energy in our lives. Look at the way she's perfectly balanced, kneeling with one foot on stable ground and the other foot resting on top of the pool of water. She's doing something that seems impossible. We don't know how deep that pool of water is, but she should not be able to balance on top of the water like this. Her foot should sink towards the bottom. She should be falling face first into that water. She's doing something that seems impossible, and she's doing it with grace and poise. You can look at the water as a visual representation of life force and as a well from which to draw strength and inspiration from the universe. And you can look at the ground as the more concrete material reality. I take this part of the visual story to mean that peace comes from achieving the equilibrium between the flow state and the material world. What is the woman on this card doing while in this balanced pose? She's generously pouring a seemingly endless supply of water back into the universe and back into the world. Look at these new buds that are springing out of the ground because they're drinking up her water. Also, This woman is naked. She's been stripped of any material possessions other than these 2 orange vessels. This is a vulnerable position to be in. Yet, rather than hoarding her resources or hiding or appearing afraid, she's freely sharing her gifts. She's trusting that the universe has her back and will continue to provide for her. She knows that she isn't going to exhaust her life force by sharing it. There's definitely a lesson there. I also think it's important to note that the Star card, number 17, comes directly after the Tower card, number 16. The Tower card represents sudden change, upheaval, and chaos. It's a very heavy card. I know many of us have experienced Tower card flavors of trauma the last few years. So what happens when lightning strikes and burns your world to the ground and you feel surrounded by darkness? Maybe you hide. I've been hiding, but at some point when you feel ready to venture back out or pull yourself up off the ground, how do you find your way? Maybe you just need a guiding star. What could be more opposite feeling burnt out than a bright, shining star? The Star card is about hope, peace, and direction. The Star card is also about one more thing that I think gets overlooked sometimes. Again, the Star card is number 17 in the deck. When you add the digits 1 plus 7, you get the number 8. Okay, impressive math skills aside, Dahlia, who cares? Some of you might be rolling your eyes and groaning right now. I've been that person. It feels like we're about to fall into a bad conspiracy theory type rabbit hole. But before you doubt that this means something, count the stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And count the points on each star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This isn't an accident. Clearly, the number 8 really is important here. According to the Big Book of Numerology by Shirley Blackwell Lawrence, the number 8 represents the law, as above, so below. Look at the number 8. It's made up of 2 circles stacked one on top of the other. As above, so below. Now look at the stars on the Rider-Waite-Smith star card. If you divide them right in the middle, they're also the same above and below. You've probably heard the phrase, as above, so below. And I know that many of you already know what that is, but in case anyone who's watching does not, the really simplified explanation is that this phrase comes from the translation of an almost 2,000-year-old Hermetic text. It's an occult text called the Emerald Tablet. One translation of the text says, that which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below to accomplish the miracles of the one thing. In other words, not only are all things from the biggest planetary bodies to the smallest microorganisms in the universe interconnected, but anything that happens on a higher spiritual plane can be made manifest on our lower physical plane here on Earth. We know that the 2 creators of the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, Arthur Edward Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith, were both members of the secret society, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in England. So they would have definitely known about the fundamental Hermetic concept, as above, so below. And they put Easter eggs about that concept in other tarot cards as well, such as the Magician. If you look at the Star card again, thinking about the theme, as above, so below, you'll notice that this woman in the Star card isn't even looking up at the stars above. She's looking into the pool below. This environment she's in doesn't look like it's anywhere near civilization. She could very well be lost. But she doesn't need to look up at the stars for guidance because the knowledge of her path and purpose are already within her and she is in harmony. As above, so below. When we incorporate the Star card into spell work, we're bringing these empowering lessons, this spiritual medicine, into the intentions we're manifesting. I really hope this discussion deepened your understanding of the Star card. Let me know in the comments what you see when the card comes up for you in a reading, because there are so many different interpretations. And if you feel moved to share a spell you've done with the Star card in the comments, I would love to hear about it. There's a Neil deGrasse Tyson quote from Astrophysics for People in a Hurry that I really love. We are stardust brought to life, then empowered by the universe to figure itself out. I'm ready to incorporate more of the wisdom shared in the Star card into my life. And through this spell I'm about to share with you, I'm beginning to take that journey. Let's jump into the spell. Before assembling the spell bottle, I wanted to get clear on the spell's intention. Even though I had a clear picture of the energy I want to call in and the changes that I want to see in my life, the fact that I've been feeling blocked and hopeless makes me less confident in the language I wanted to use in the actual spell. Do you ever get spell writer's block? Where do you even start? In my head, I'm just like screaming, fix it, or life go better now, which I think those are valid feelings, but they don't really have the thoughtfulness that I wanted the spell to have. If you ever have spell writer's block, I recommend going on to the writeaffirmations.com website for inspiration.
It's a free resource with a ton of affirmations in many different categories. For my star spell, I looked through their life purpose direction affirmations. First, I pull out any affirmations that resonate with me into a text document. Then I use those to help me shape an intention spell that's written in the present tense and clearly outlines what I want my spell to accomplish. Here's what I came up with. The star illuminates my soul purpose and supports me with all of the energy and resources I need. I am on the correct path, and it leads to a perfect expression of me. Now that the intention is written out, it's time to assemble the spell bottle. I'm using a vintage glass bottle that I sourced several years ago at the Rose Bowl flea market. I picked this bottle particularly because it has a shimmery blue tint, which reminds me of the blue on the star card. Glass is such a powerful thing to incorporate in magic. The process to create glass combines all 4 elements. If you've ever gotten to see a glass blowing demonstration, you know that glass is made from sand of the earth, which is heated with fire, cooled with water, and blown into with air. In Western occult traditions, the 5th element is spirit. I just love the image of a vessel brought into being by every earthly element dedicated to a spiritual working. That powerful resonance can amplify the strength of your spell. The other cool thing about glass, especially for this spell, is that the sand used to make glass is actually grains of silica or broken down quartz. And scientists at NASA have confirmed that the silica on our planet came from supernovas, explosions of massive stars. So if you use a glass bottle, you're creating a star card spell in a container made of ancient stardust, which is so cool. In fact, almost all of the natural elements on our planet originated in the fiery furnaces of stars, so the herbs and crystals going into the container are made of stardust too. Before putting anything into the bottle, I'm going to attach a sticker of the star card. This tiny holographic sticker came from Glitzy Fish on Etsy. Make sure if you're buying a sticker or printing an image of the card that you measure the container you're putting it on first. I'm using a cotton ball with rubbing alcohol on it to clean the glass. Instead of using the sticker adhesive, I'm painting Mod Podge on the paper covered back of the sticker because I don't want to risk it peeling if the sticker doesn't bond with the glass. I'm letting the Mod Podge dry at least 15 or 20 minutes before handling the bottle again. To symbolically purify the bottle, I fill it with smoke from a stick of sandalwood incense. Earlier in the video, I talked about how important the number 8 is on the star card, so naturally I chose 8 different ingredients to put in my bottle in addition to my intention statement. All of the crystals and herbs I'm using correspond to the energies I'm calling in. I ordered the crystal chips from New Age Girl 88 on Etsy, and the herbs were all purchased at the Crooked Path in Burbank. You can find links in the description box. The first part of the intention I wrote says, "The star illuminates my soul purpose." To support that statement, I'm adding Smoky Quartz crystal chips. Smoky Quartz is a translucent quartz with hazy shades of gray, brown, and black. In the book The Crystal Apothecary, Gemma Petherbridge writes, "Smoky quartz has both a dense, dark side to it and a transparent, light side. Metaphysically, this means smoky quartz leads you from the dark to the light, from uncertainty to certainty. In other words, it shows you the light at the end of the tunnel so that you can see the right direction to take." Smoky quartz is also considered to be a grounding stone. When we talk about grounding in magical practices, we're often talking about rebalancing our energies and rooting our workings. By placing a grounding stone at the bottom of the bottle, we're tethering our intentions to the earth, which represents our material reality. This signals that I don't want the effects of this spell to only be realized on some spiritual plane. I want them to happen here on Earth. The second layer going into the bottle is fennel seeds. Seeds are plant life at the beginning of their journey, so it makes sense to link seeds to a spell of transformation and rebirth. Fennel specifically is a flowering plant which blooms into clusters of tiny bright yellow buds that remind me of stars. I'm symbolically planting seeds on the ground, represented by the smoky quartz, which hold the power to transform into bright bursts of stars. The intention statement says, "I am on the correct path." In a way, this spell could be considered a road opening spell. From the Hoodoo folk magic tradition, road opening spells clear blockages and invite opportunities. Dried fennel is a common ingredient in road opening spells because it's associated with the planet energy of Mercury. Mercury is the messenger and represents thoughts. Bringing in new thoughts and shifting thinking patterns can definitely open us up to different ways of being. Next, I'm adding my intention statement like a celestial message in a bottle. The intention should be more or less centered so that the energies of the ingredients surrounding it are there to support it. I rolled the intention statement very tightly, but I made a mistake in not securing it before putting it in the bottle because the paper expanded quickly, which made it really difficult to add the next layers. To get my crystal and herbs into the bottle where I wanted them to go, I ended up using tweezers and a knitting needle to help. And I would have had a much easier time of it if I just tied my intention with some thread or a rubber band first. Next, I'm symbolically watering my fennel seeds with crushed blue glass chips, which were found at Michael's. I already talked about how powerful glass can be, and I felt called to add more inside the bottle because the blue crushed glass reminded me not only of twinkles in the night sky, but also of glittering, shimmering water. You really don't want to put anything wet inside of the bottle because it can rot the organic elements, the herbs, or help mold grow. But water is such a key element of the story of the star card, so I felt it needed to be represented in the spell. The water in the star card represents the subconscious inner world and generosity. I'm also using glass because mirrors are made of glass and water, especially when it's still, can be a very reflective surface. In the intention, I wrote, "My journey leads to a perfect expression of me." I'm asking to be self-assured and proud of the person I see reflected in the mirror. I want to show up in the world as the best version of myself. Also, I think if you were the maiden in the star card and you were looking into the pool of water, you'd see the stars reflected back to you, which recalls the central theme, as above, so below. Above the crushed blue glass, I'm adding dried peppermint, which smells so good. When you inhale it, it's somehow stimulating and relaxing at the same time. Like fennel, peppermint is said to be ruled by the planetary energy of Mercury, the messenger. In Blackthorn's botanical magic, Amy Blackthorn calls peppermint the scent of awakening, both mentally and physically, and suggests it be used to open the hidden realms of the mind. I believe that the hidden realms of the mind are the subconscious, which is our gateway to the collective unconscious. So incorporating peppermint is like opening the gates to the path set out by the universe. The entry on peppermint in Blackthorn's botanical magic also says that when life feels overwhelming, peppermint can invite in a sense of balance. Next, I'm adding pyrite chips. The way that pyrite glitters reminds me of twinkling stars. In the entry on pyrite in the Crystal Apothecary, it says the name pyrite is derived from the Greek word for fire, and people have known that pyrite sparks when struck since prehistoric times. Use it and see the fire burning away any energetic blocks to your abundance. Besides incinerating energetic blocks, we know pyrite is a good stone for energy work because in industry, it's actually used as a battery cathode and found in solar battery cells. It is a powerful conductor and it helps convert solar star power into usable electricity on Earth. Pyrite is also associated with luck and manifestation. In the Book of Stones, Naisha Ajin says pyrite aids in grounding higher knowledge into action and is ideal to use at the end of a meditation to bring the energy fully into the physical realm. In other words, pyrite is another force supporting the as above, so below theme in our spell. The fifth layer is chamomile. Chamomile is so interesting. Some reference books link the bright cherry plant with the sun and fire energy, and some associate its healing powers with the moon and water energy. I actually think that this duality makes it perfect for this spell, where I'm calling in both a fiery desire for change and deep supportive therapeutic energy. Chamomile has been used as a medicinal herb for more than 2,500 years. When I think of chamomile, I think of the spreading warm and cozy feeling that comes from sipping a calming mug of tea. And besides being used for healing, chamomile is also incorporated in a lot of luck and fortune spells. The seventh layer going into the bottle is carnelian chips. Carnelian is another quartz stone. While the smoky quartz at the bottom of the bottle is there to help open the path into the light, the carnelian is there to increase the courage needed to take that path. In the Book of Stones, Naisha Ajin writes, "Carnelian is a powerful ally to call upon when one needs to take major action. It lends courage to take the leap and dedicate oneself to a new path." And on the Crystal Healing podcast, Ashley Levy supports the courage-enhancing properties of carnelian, saying that working with the stone can help you overcome negative thought patterns and self-limiting beliefs, so that you don't talk yourself out of things before you even try. A lot of the time when we're feeling stuck, it's probably not that there aren't any paths available to us, we're just too scared to step onto them. By adding this stone to the bottle, I'm signaling that I feel ready to take brave action. In my intention statement, I also call in the star to support me with all of the energy I need. In the Crystal Apothecary, Gemma Petherbridge explains that carnelian includes the element of fire. If you use it regularly, you will feel the metaphorical fire in your belly reignite, replacing fatigue with vitality and long-term sustained energy. Stars in the sky have a literal fire in their belly, so this energetic push is totally in line with our spell. The 8th and final ingredient I'm adding is Star Anise. Star Anise is a seed pod from an evergreen shrub native to China. The primary reason I chose Star Anise is probably obvious. It looks like a star. It was one of the first ingredients I planned to use, and then when I looked it up, I was surprised to find that while Star Anise can have between 5 to 10 points on each star, it commonly has 8 points, connecting this ingredient even more to the tarot card with its 8-pointed stars. Star Anise's naturally symmetrical shape also brings back to mind the theme of as above, so below. The full seed pods are too big to add to the opening of the bottle, so I break them up into smaller pieces. If you're at the grocery store and you see ground anise, know that that comes from a different plant than the Star Anise pods do. In the entry on Star Anise and Plant Witchery, Juliet Diaz notes that Star Anise has a balanced shape, and then says, finding this balance gives you a sense of calm so that you are able to see beyond what has been blocking you. So the Star Anise at the top of the bottle is being used just like the stars in the sky that help people who are lost at sea or lost in the wilderness find their way. Additionally, Scott Cunningham's Encyclopedia of Magical Herbs notes that Star Anise is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is the most expansive planet, and working with its energy is a way to invite in abundance.
Once all the ingredients have been added to the bottle, it's time to seal the spell.
When you buy vintage bottles, they usually come without a stopper, so I picked up this bag of assorted corks at Joann. I'm closing the bottle with a tiny cork. I like to decorate the bottle with a charm. I chose an Aquarius charm depicting the water bearer because the star card is associated with that sign. These zodiac charms came from Michaels. I'm adding the Aquarius charm to black cotton cording and tying it around the neck of the bottle. I'm pulling my double knot tightly, but I'm not too worried about it coming undone because I'm going to finish sealing the working with melted wax that I will drip over the knot. I find the fastest and most satisfying way to add melted wax is to get some wax sealing sticks. They come in tons of colors. I've chosen a blue wax stick because it looks so pretty with the blue bottle and the sticker. But additionally, in candle magic, the color blue can be associated with healing, harmony, and starting a spiritual journey. To melt the wax, you just light the wick on the stick, and it will quickly start melting enough to drip over the top of the bottle.
And this is my star card spell bottle. Just a reminder that the more attention and energy you put into a spell, the more powerful it will become for you. I'll put this bottle on my altar and meditate with it in the coming weeks. I've also created a playlist for myself with high energy music that embodies the spell. Dancing around with the bottle is a great way to feed it with more energy. And don't forget to take actions in the world that support the spell. This might mean getting counseling or therapy, enlisting your support network, engaging with self-development resources like classes or books, or anything else that relates to connecting with purpose and direction in your life. Be well and be witchcrafting.